The Scottish Conservatives have pledged to stand shoulder to shoulder with Scotland's armed forces and veteran community after the SNP imposed higher income taxes for British Armed Forces personnel living in Scotland. The Ministry of Defence, MOD, agreed to permanently reimburse 7,000 armed forces personnel who have been subject to higher tax rates in Scotland. An annual payment will be permanently provided to serving personnel earning £28,443 or more a year, with an average annual payment of £850. Mitigation of between £12 and £2,200 will be paid, with payments grossed up to take account of income tax and national insurance. In Scotland, people in Scotland pay a tax rate of 20% between £14,668 and £25,296 and 21% up to £43,662. A starter rate of 19% applies above £12,571 and below £14,585. Following the announcement by Chancellor Rishi Sunak and Scottish Secretary Alistair Jack, Scottish Tory leader Douglas Ross promised Scotland would become a country fit for heroes with a series of measures to help the country's veterans. He added, "We fought at Westminster for personnel stationed in Scotland to be compensated for the SNP's higher income taxes so that they don't receive less pay than those serving in the armed forces anywhere else in the UK. We truly value the sacrifices made by those who have served our country and know how difficult the transition to civilian life can be." He claimed urgent change were needed because too many veterans and families are failed, and their sacrifices go unrecognized. He added, "While many thrive and prosper after their military service, some end up homeless, struggle to get medical care, or some even become trapped in a cycle of reoffending." The Tories pledged to use Holyrood's devolved welfare powers to introduce top-up payments for former military personnel in greatest need, as well as giving them assistance in getting on the housing ladder. The party also pledged to reintroduce the Help to Buy scheme, which allowed buyers to purchase a new build property without a large deposit, with a specific element of this aimed at helping veterans. In addition to this, they are promising a new top-up benefit for former services personnel who are now on universal credit, which would be worth £10 a week. The changes would help some of the 220,000 veterans living in Scotland, with Mr. Ross claiming, "We owe an enormous debt of gratitude to our servicemen and women." But warm words are not enough. They also promised to bring forward an Armed Forces and Veterans Bill if they win the 6th of May election, to enshrine the Armed Forces Covenant into law. This is a pledge to treat those who have served and their families fairly, with Douglas Ross claiming this would ensure that military personnel in Scotland are guaranteed access to a variety of key services. Mr. Ross added, "We truly value the sacrifices made by those who have served our country and know how difficult the transition to civilian life can be. We want servicemen and women who choose to make Scotland their home know that they are in a country fit for heroes." In response, Veterans Minister Graham Day said, "The SNP has a proud track record when it comes to standing up for our military communities and their families, including through action to improve employment opportunities, supporting almost 200 projects through the Scottish Veterans Fund, and bringing in the Veterans Rail Card at a cheaper introductory rate than elsewhere in the UK. We will work with anyone to properly support our veterans community." But the Tories claim to champion our armed forces rings hollow to those who have seen the chronic underinvestment and years of brutal cuts, which have removed any trace of the army from large parts of Scotland. The Tories have shown they simply can't be trusted to protect our armed forces after presiding over a decade of real terms wage cuts for our military personnel, failing to invest in military housing, and missing recruitment targets.